Good Tuesday morning, and boy, do I look the same as yesterday. Look, same outfit, not really, but it's chilly. Hey, good Tuesday morning here in the Meta glasses that so many on my channel just despise and hate. But you know what? I like them. I think if I just make short videos, these work better because the long videos, when I put them all together, the voice recognition and everything all falls apart. So I think these are probably the 6-minute, 9-minute videos that probably the sync of my voice and the video all work. I can't change the way the screen is. So people keep on bringing that up. There's nothing in the settings on the Meta glasses. But anyways, hey, I am just reaching out to honor the Veterans Day. I don't understand how people say Happy Memorial Day, Happy Veterans Day. I mean, as a veteran, are you happy today that you went to war and you witnessed the deaths and the unhappiness of having to go somewhere and clean up the problems in other countries? I mean, are you really happy about that? I would think you're happy that you came home, maybe, even though there's a lot of Vietnam vets, I'll tell you straight up, that they were embarrassed when they came home. Oh, I've met many veterans over my life, and I can tell you there's many stories of the Vietnam veterans that came home ashamed to what they had done in Vietnam, ashamed of a political war. So once again, how do you recognize today saying Happy Veterans Day? I think we should say honoring Veterans Day. Yes, we're honoring Veterans Day today, recognizing all those who took it upon themselves to sign up, and for those that had no option, that were drafted automatically. That did used to happen in this country for the younger ones out there, but it's in recognition for all those people that took a responsibility to go do something that they knew was very risky, that they may never come back home. They may not live a full life. So once again, I'm just thinking of the military veterans today. My father-in-law was a military veteran. My father is a military veteran. I had an uncle, a military veteran. I have friends that are military veterans. And so once again, I think what I'd be saying, this is honor the Veterans Day instead of saying Happy Veterans Day. I don't understand that thought process there. And once again, I'm just thinking of all those military personnel that are still here. And sadly, for so many that aren't here, that many perished being in the military, and many others have perished because of my age. Many of them have perished because of my age, and they have grown older, and they have passed, and or sadly, like my father-in-law, who passed very young in my eyes in 2017, I believe at the ripe age of 71 years old. And he died from stage 4 pancreatic cancer, and he was a helicopter military pilot over there in Vietnam. And you always have to wonder, did he get exposed to the Agent Orange, and was that the underlying reason that he died early from cancer? My father was in the Army Air Guard, which is the Air Force today, and I'm trying to think at that time, even for me, I can't keep things track, of my father telling me that they had just changed the name of the Army Air Guard into the Air Force, and I believe that is correct, that he then actually was in the Air Force for a few years, wanting to be an actual commercial pilot, but he was not able to complete that because of his depth perception of not being able to land the aircraft properly. So he was so disappointed as a young military individual that he had signed up to be in the military and become a commercial line airline pilot, and that dream was shattered. So, but many stories out there. I see him on Facebook. A guy named Sean Harley's out there that is posting his military uniform, being a Marine. So everybody has their choice and flavor of what division they went to: Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines. And my brother-in-law, he was a Marine. And then I have good friends. A good friend of mine, their son-in-law was actually the poster boy for the Marines back in the 90s. That's a fact. And so right here in the DC area, there's a lot of military bases right here, as probably you know. And it sounds like the government argument is coming to an end, and it sounds like the government employees are getting ready to be back on the job. And for all those that have been having to dip into their savings account to get through this last 5 weeks of no pay are going to be reimbursed, I guess. So hopefully with the holidays upon us, all these government employees are back on the job and they'll feel good about the holidays instead of being disgruntled and uncertain of the money situation in our life, which that's very challenging, as you know. So once again, just kind of reaching out to say I am honoring Veterans Day. I never did join the military. In hindsight, in some ways, I think I should have. But in other ways, that's very disciplined. You have to be very disciplined. You have to really commit. And that takes a lot for anybody out there that did that. For those that signed up to be in the military, whether you, in my age group, the draft had been, there was no more draft. So you yourself took it upon yourself to make the decision to join the military, and I know many of people and friends of my age that made that decision, and that was very courageous in my eyes at that time in life, because you're committing to take on a responsibility where in so many ways you had no choice but what you made a decision to do, to stay at that decision, and you, in so many ways, would maybe possibly be in a war with your life in jeopardy, which I'm sure there's many stories of those that are on in my channel and those outside of my channel that have friends and family that sadly perished going to war, and sadly, perished. I have a good friend, Andy Self. Actually, he was one of the Oak, I'm trying to think of the name of the group, one of the Patriots that was all backed in the January 6th uprising, as they call it. He was the president of the Utah Association for the Proud. I don't know if it's the Proud Boys or which one it was, but sadly, he was in the Air Force, and he's just a little older than me, and he was a mechanic. He was on the ground. He went to Iraq, and he oversaw the burn pits. And in the end, believe it or not, that's what killed him back here stateside, just like 2 or 3 years ago, because he would oversee the burn pits. And if you know what the burn pits are, it's just when the military goes to war, they just dig these big, massive holes, and they throw all their garbage in these holes, and they burn it. So toxic waste is radical. So people that are around burn pits, if they aren't really wearing proper ventilated masks, they're just inhaling all these chemicals. And sure enough, that's what happened to my good friend Andy Self, and my brother's good friend, is he had major lung damage. And that was a major problem as he got older in life. And then when COVID came, he got COVID, and COVID eventually, sadly, killed him. So there's a story, which I'm sure many here can share stories of friends and family that went to war, and it wasn't the war that killed them, it was the after effects. Isn't that something, everybody? So anyways, that's all I'm going to do. That's all I'm going to talk about, is honoring Veterans Day. And the government and the banks are closed today. Well, the thing is, the government's closed, but all the banks are closed, and it's a very windy, cold day, and they're calling the one of the Facebook big-time forecasters, Doug, whatever his last name is, on News 4 here, local. He is predicting for a cold, heavy, snowy, wet. Yeah, he's calling for a cold, snowy January, cold winter here, and so the cold has come in. And I know there's already parts of like West Virginia and I think North Carolina where they've already gotten snow. But here, I got to get to work. I got to get Brian who works for me. But as you see here in my shop, I got the shop a little better organized. And believe it or not, everybody, I may be on another mission today. What do you think the mission will be? Yes, possible. I don't know. Stay tuned. And God bless. And once again, let's honor Veterans Day by respecting those that committed to help protect our country, which for some don't want to do. But thank God, I know on my channel, I have those that want to help and protect our future in our country. And I guarantee there's many of you that are military veterans, and I appreciate you doing what you did for our country. God bless. And I'm going to turn this off right now.